Afghanistan, a land of mountains, tribes, and unbroken resistance. For over 2 centuries, the world's greatest powers have tried to conquer it, and every one of them has failed. The British Empire came first, trying to secure its colonial borders. Then the Soviet Union marched in, chasing influence during the Cold War. And finally, the United States entered, determined to bring democracy and end terrorism. 3 invasions, 3 empires, 3 defeats. This is the story of Afghanistan, the graveyard of empires. In this video, we'll look at how and why each invasion began, why all of them collapsed, and what lessons the world still hasn't learned. Afghanistan is called the heart of Asia, but it's a heart made of stone. Mountains cut the land into countless valleys, and each valley tells its own story. It's a country where geography is both a wall and a weapon. For outsiders, control is almost impossible. Roads vanish into the mountains, tribes guard their passes, and loyalty flows not to a flag, but to family, tribe, and faith. To rule Afghanistan, you must first understand it. And that's something no empire ever truly did. In the 19th century, Afghanistan became the chessboard of empires. Britain ruled India. Russia was pushing south. And between them stood one wild mountainous buffer, Afghanistan. The British marched in 3 times, hoping to install friendly rulers and secure their empire's borders. But each time, the same pattern repeated: occupation, resistance, and retreat. During the First Anglo-Afghan War, an entire British army, more than 16,000 soldiers and camp followers, was wiped out while retreating from Kabul in 1842. Only one man survived the massacre: Dr. William Brydon, a wounded assistant surgeon who reached Jalalabad on a dying horse. He became a grim symbol of imperial hubris. By the early 20th century, the British had learned a painful lesson. You can invade Afghanistan, but you can't hold it. The land itself rejects foreign rule, like the mountains pushing back the desert winds. When the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in December 1979, it believed it was stepping into a quick operation, a few months to stabilize a friendly regime and then return home. Instead, it walked into a decade-long nightmare. Afghanistan's communist government was collapsing under internal rebellion. The Soviets stepped in to restore order, but their tanks only fueled resistance. The Mujahideen, backed by the United States, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and China, turned the country into a graveyard for Soviet troops. Soviet helicopters dominated the skies at first, but then came the Stinger missiles, portable American launchers that could shoot down aircraft. Suddenly, the hunter became the hunted. For 10 years, the USSR poured men, money, and propaganda into a war it couldn't win. Over 15,000 Soviet soldiers were killed and countless more wounded, not just physically, but morally. Back home, the war became the Soviet Union's Vietnam. By 1989, the last Soviet troops withdrew across the Friendship Bridge, leaving behind a shattered country and a rising new power: the jihadist networks that would one day give birth to Al-Qaeda. After the September 11th attacks, the United States set its sights on Afghanistan, the sanctuary of Al-Qaeda and its leader, Osama bin Laden. In October 2001, Operation Enduring Freedom began. Within weeks, the Taliban regime collapsed under American air power and the advance of the Northern Alliance. But, as history would show, winning battles isn't the same as winning peace. The Taliban didn't disappear. They melted into the mountains, into Pakistan's tribal regions, and waited. The US and its allies poured billions of dollars into rebuilding Afghanistan. Roads, schools, elections, and a new army. Yet corruption, warlordism, and opium trade corroded everything from within. Meanwhile, NATO troops faced a war of ambushes, roadside bombs, and suicide attacks. The same pattern the Soviets had faced decades earlier. Each surge of foreign soldiers brought short-term control but no lasting stability. By the late 2010s, the war had become America's longest. And in August 2021, the world watched in disbelief as Kabul fell once again to the Taliban. Almost exactly 32 years after the Soviets left. Two superpowers had fought the same war, and both lost. Every empire that entered Afghanistan, British, Soviet, or American, believed it could succeed where others failed. Each had better weapons, more money, and clearer goals. But Afghanistan has a way of breaking certainty. First, geography. Towering mountains, endless valleys, and roads that twist like veins through stone. You can conquer cities, but not the terrain. The land itself fights back. Second, society. Afghanistan is not a single nation, but a mosaic of tribes and languages. Power lies in loyalty, to clan, to faith, to local leaders, not to any flag in Kabul. Foreign powers tried to build a state, but they built it on sand. Third, ideology. Each empire came to save Afghanistan. From tyranny, from capitalism, from terrorism. For many, resistance was not politics. It was survival, faith, and pride. And finally, time. Empires have elections, budgets, and public opinion. Afghanistan has patience. Foreign armies count years. Afghans count generations. That's why, after 2 centuries of invasions, the mountains still stand. And Afghanistan remains the place where empires go to die.